Welcome to Balance and Breathing with Salle Huber.
Hi, you guys. The other thing that I always like to add is, although I really think I'm brilliant, I am not a doctor. So I don't want you to take anything that I say as medical advice. And if your doctor tells you something that you think contradicts something that I say, we're going to let your doctor have the last word on that, and we'll trust what your doctor says. And if you're on Zoom, give a little shout out and Amy will let me know if you're looking for a modification. The other thing is, don't ever do anything that makes you feel risky, or never, ever, ever something that makes you feel pain. That's not what I'm here for. So that no pain, no gain thing, that might be fine somewhere else, but it's not applicable here at all. So yesterday we talked about balance and what goes into balance. And some of the things, I wrote them down so I really remember them. Proprioception. Do you remember how we talked about proprioception yesterday? The body's ability to know where our body parts are in space. And the example I used yesterday was, what were you like at 9 years old, running down the stairs of your house to meet your friends at the park? You probably took 2 or 3 steps at a time. You didn't look carefully down at the steps or hold on to anything, and your mind was already at the park. Now you probably don't come down the stairs quite that way because you don't have that confidence in your body sense like you did when you were 9 years old. So maybe you're holding on to something, maybe you were looking down. The more we develop our body sense, especially as we get older, it's something that we now need to practice. And so we'll be doing that. What else goes into balance? Our body's ability to communicate with itself. Remember, movement comes from the brain telling our muscles to do stuff, but there's another way that we move too, and we do it reflexively. And that's the body kind of communicating with itself and short-circuiting the brain to muscle communication. And so we want to make sure that the body is able to communicate well internally. Alignment plays a big role in our balance. Foot mechanics, and yesterday we really did a lot of stuff to try to help our feet feel comfortable and well supported on the ground. Hip strength, right? I gotta be able to have a lot of strength here in order to hold myself up on one leg for balance, or even for walking. Glute strength. So we think of this as the lateral line of our body, and this is the back line of our body. They're both strong, and we want to make sure that we're developing them so that we have what we need to be able to balance. Not just, like, ooh, crazy balance, but just being able to feel confident standing up, confident walking, etc. Another thing that we didn't mention the other day that has a nice role in our balance is our gaze. If we're always looking down at our computer, the muscles of our eyes literally are only able to focus on what's close. So don't forget to gaze at things that are far away and practice looking at things far away. And also, when you're trying to balance, like say if I'm trying to balance on one leg, if I look out at a focal point kind of far away that's right in line with my gaze, if I feel tall out of the saddle as I stand here and relax, like this is fine, I can do it, those 3 things will also just help you balance more. If you're not nervous, if you're nice and tall in a line, and your gaze is on a focal point far away. All right, so yesterday we talked a lot about our feet. So let's start again, and we also talked a lot about alignment. So here are my hip bones. I want you to locate your hip bones, and then I want you to feel like your legs are falling right out of the hip bones, so that's how far apart your feet are. It seems kind of like a duh moment, but the feet should be facing forward. This is the way we're going, and our feet should be going that way as well. But a lot of us, our feet are going out and they're going in. A nice way to tell if your feet are lined up is think about the outer edges of your feet being straight, not angled outward or inward. Someday we'll do a class in person and I'll get into real detail about how our feet need to be lined up. For now, I just want you to think that outer edge is straight, okay? Toes spread apart. So let's spread our toes 10 times. Spread those toes apart and bring them back. Do you remember how sometimes some of our toes are just used to being touching? And I said that last night after class, sit down on your bed or on the floor and just kind of pry those toes apart from one another. Massage them apart so that they start to get used to not touching one another. So let's do it 5 more times. If your fingers need to spread at the same time, that's totally fine. Let's just do it a couple more times. Excellent, and relax. Now let's rock a little bit forward into our toes and a little bit back into our heels. Don't go too far. You don't want to fall over, but we're just kind of reminding the body that, you know, these are all ranges of motion that we're allowed to enjoy. So let's just do this a couple more times. You might notice that one is way more comfortable, one is way less comfortable. Kind of get to know that. Now I'm solid again, and I'm going to move from side to side. And when I do this, I notice that when I rock to the left, the arch of my foot kind of raises up on the left foot, and the same on the right. So I'm just kind of noticing that. Ideally, of course, I want to be balanced on all 4 corners of my feet. And my toes, I want to be light. In standing, the toes shouldn't be playing a really important role. Good, let's just do this a couple more times. Excellent. All right, so now we're gonna learn a couple of stretches that we didn't do before, and that's before we go into our balance. So I've got something nice to hold on to, okay? And my legs are hip distance apart. I'm gonna swing my left leg back, and I'm going to rest on top of my toes, on the top part of my foot, right? So that my toes and my toenails are flat on the ground, okay? Hopefully across the full width of my foot. And then I'm going to bend down a little bit to stretch the top of my foot. Now, this doesn't bother me so much, right? We can bend and straighten, bend and straighten. If this is super painful for you, that doesn't get you out of it. Then what I would suggest is that you sit on a chair over on one edge and you try it in a seated position, right? Sometimes your feet have just never done this before and you need to sit at first and take the load off. If it's super easy, you can have your legs be more far apart and upright. Right? Let's just hold this. Let's do one more inhale and exhale. And let's try the other side. Hip distance apart. I can be holding on to something if I like. I'm going to bring my right foot back. I'm resting on the top of my toes and a little bit on the knuckles there. And then I can either bend down to make myself more comfortable, or I can try to straighten both legs if I feel like I'm able. If you want to do it in a seated position, of course, that's fine. This is something that is a lovely stretch every single day. Moving our body in ranges of motion that sometimes we just don't bother doing is very, very important. We want to try to gain back every range of motion that we were born with. One more inhale and exhale. Beautiful. All right, so now I've got my half roller for a calf stretch. And remember, you are going to use a half roller if you have one, or maybe you have a pillow like this I could probably use, or a rolled up blanket or towel. So my left leg is going to be out to the side, and my right leg I'm going to put up for a calf stretch. The ball of my foot is kind of by the top. Okay, and I'm on the far left side of my surface if it's long like this. And what I want to do is try to figure out where my alignment is as I put my heel down on the ground behind my surface and stretch my calf. So right now I want you to notice that my back leg, my non-stretching leg is behind me a little bit, right? As if I'm in a stride. And what I want to find out is how far forward could I swing that leg, stretching my right hamstring without, or really my right calf, without having to do something crazy with my alignment, right? So right now, if I bring it forward of my stretching foot, I'm really cheating in my alignment. So I'm going to slide it back a little until I really feel a good stretch in my right foot, but I'm upright again. And so that's what I want you to do. And we're just going to hold this nice stretch so that we really get some length in the back of that right leg. We spend a lot of time seated at our desks, our cars, even on our bicycles when we're riding. So giving ourselves the opportunity to stretch that muscle is really going to benefit every part of our body. Let's just hold it for another inhale and exhale. Now, let's hold this position, but bend the knees. Now, because my right foot is up on a surface, I can't bend very much, and that's fine because this is solely a stretch. So it's for the ankle and the lower part of the calf. So you just feel the stretch differently. Notice I'm not letting myself hinge forward. I'm trying to be as upright as I can. Good, I'm going to step all the way up, and I'm going to come into my alignment position, and I'm just going to close my eyes and notice with my body sense if the side that I just stretched feels differently than the other side. And maybe you'll notice that you feel a little different in the side that we stretched the calf. Good, let's do the other side with our calf stretch. So here I am, my right foot is out to the side and a little bit behind my roller. I'm gonna put that left foot on, so the ball of my foot is on the top of the roller or whatever I'm using, and my heel is on the ground, okay? Now, to see what I can tell, for me, this side is way tighter, which is very common that one side be tighter than the other. So I'm gonna bring this top foot forward. I know that's too much of a stretch for me right now. And then I'm gonna slide it back until I feel like, oh yeah, I'm upright again, and I'm not doing anything crazy with my posture to try to hold it. And then we're just going to stay here and hold this. So you can just relax into it. Notice if you're doing anything out of alignment with your hips. Try to bring those hips back in alignment. Relax, breathe. Let's take 4 more breath cycles here. So we knew that the feet were important in balance, and the lower leg and the ankle are just as important. Let's do 2 more inhales and exhales. Last one. Lovely. Okay, step all the way off of that. Notice how you feel. Do you feel nice and balanced? My feet feel better, and we really didn't do all that much with our feet. All right, so the next thing that we're going to learn is a balance move. We're going to clean up the way all I did was ask you to lift one leg. I didn't give you any kind of form to show whether or not you were biomechanically appropriate in the way you elevated this leg. So today, we're going to talk about that. All right, so we're going to stand on our left leg, okay? And the way we're going to do it is I'm going to push my left foot deeply into the mat, and I'm going to think about my left hip moving toward my right hip and down to elevate my right foot. And then I'm going to bring it down. So I'm pushing down on the left and across the midline of my body to elevate this side of my body. Let's keep trying that. So the right side of my body is passive, and the left side of my body is pushing down and across the midline to elevate that leg. I don't need to bend the knee in order to do it, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it without tipping over that way so much. So did you see how I fine-tuned that? Instead of sliding over to the side, I'm trying to stay as upright as I can. And I'm holding myself with this hip. And I also feel a lot of work along the inner thigh of my standing leg. And that's what I want you to feel too. So let's just try it a couple more times. And now I want you to come up and hold. So I'm holding with the outer hip of my left leg. And this is where I want you to feel it. And we're just gonna hold here. Our eyes are open. Our feet feel nice and wide. I'm not trying to hold all my weight in my toes. And I'm starting to get tired in my left hip. Is anybody else starting to get tired? This is a lot of work. And it's important, especially as we get older, to be nice and sound and stable and strong in those outer hips. And you don't necessarily need a weight machine in order to do that. We can be doing this every day. Oh, okay, put that foot down. Who feels like they really worked in that hip? Because I gotta tell you, I do. All right, so remember, my legs are coming right out of the hip socket. My foot is aligned, my toes are wide, and I'm going to push. We're gonna do our right foot now. I'm gonna push down and across the midline of my body to see if I can get this hip to rise up. And let's just try that a couple more times. So it's kind of a mind trick, right? Because I want to just lift with the side that I'm lifting, but that's not what I want you to do. I want you to do the work on the right side. You can even push that hip down and over. Let's try it a couple more times. Don't get frustrated if it's eluding you. You're gonna keep practicing all the time until you get it. All right, so now I'm gonna hold here. Remember, I don't wanna lean way over, so I really feel the work in my hip, and I also feel the work in the inner thigh of the working leg. I feel like I wanna be on all four corners of the working foot. This side is rather relaxed. I'm not having to bend the leg or the knee of the leg that I'm elevating. Amy, how you doing? Can you feel it?
I can. Sorry, you caught me catching a drink. Yes, can you see me?
No.
I've been trying to do some from my chair because I have a very sore hip today, which is interesting.
So we're just holding it a little longer and then come all the way down. All right, so now let's go ahead and make that a little bit more challenging. If you happen to have your towel or your pillow or a rolled up yoga mat, we're gonna try the same exercise with that. So now not only are we elevating more, but we have a smunchy, uneven surface. But that's okay, because I know you have something solid right here that you can rely on, right? So I'm gonna switch back a little bit more. All right, so I'm gonna put the pillow on my left. I'm gonna put my left foot on it. I'm going to press down on the left side, so down and across the midline of my body to elevate that right side. And just challenging my balance by standing on a pillow or standing on a towel or a rolled up yoga mat. Something that isn't solid like the floor or even my yoga block. I still want to be feeling it in this outer hip. I still want to be kind of relaxed on the side that's lifted. And I don't want to be tilted too far to the side. And come all the way down. How do you do? Let's try the other side. Okay? You'd think a pillow wouldn't be so hard, would can be more of a challenge. So remember, to elevate my left foot off the ground, I'm going to push down with my right foot, and my hips are going to feel like they're going across the midline of my body to let this side come up. Ta-da! Bum, 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 bum. I'm just putting my hands like this because now I'm too close to my counter. Resist the urge to let the standing hip drift out to the side. Make it do the work. And come all the way down. Excellent. All right, we're going to make it a little harder. If you have something hard like a yoga block, we're going to work from there now. Okay? And we can add something. All right, so I am going to put my left foot on the yoga block, and as I stand up on the yoga block, I'm going to think I'm going to push down and across the midline of my body in order to elevate my right side. Right? Let's try that again. I don't want to list too far to the left, so I'm trying to stay upright and come up. And let's do one more like that. Down and across the midline of the body. Why do I say across the midline of the body? Because this hip's going to want to drift out that way, and I'm not letting it. All right, so now we're going to add something to it. I'm going to lower the leg that's in the air, and then I'm going to use the left side. I'm going to push down and across the midline to bring it back up again. Down and across. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm working all on the left side to raise and lower the right side. Woo! Let's try 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way down. Okay, that's a lot of work for your hips, which is so important, not only for balance, but for walking. And I really hope you all have a nice walking practice. Okay, let's try the other side. As I step up onto the block with my right foot, I'm already thinking of bringing myself into that one-legged position, right? So I'm going to push down, and my hips are going to travel to the left, so that when I come up, I'm in that nice tall standing position and supporting myself with my right hip. And staying here, I'm gonna let the right hip rise up toward my ribs, and then I'm gonna push it down and across the midline of the body. Up and down. I'm not doing anything with my left side. I'm building strength in the outer hips. And right now I'm working the right side. Toes are light. Alignment is tall. Where's my gaze, right? I can be looking at a focal point across the wall. I'm confident. I know I can do this. I have something to hold on to if I need to. Let's do 5 more. You're going to feel this tonight. 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. And come all the way off. All right. The next exercise area that we want to work is that back line. And so here I've got my surface that I can hold on to. And I'm going to stand facing it, and we're going to do some squats. Obviously, if you feel uncomfortable because of your knees, you're either going to modify by limiting your range of motion, or you're going to say, I'm going to sit this one out because it's something that I can't do. Of course, remember, we always follow our doctor's advice. But what I want you to do is try to keep your shins vertical while you do this. So here I go, rolling my pants up again to show you guys my sexy legs. Okay. So as I squat, holding on to my surface, I'm going to send my booty way back behind me, and I'm going to try to bend my knees without letting them go forward at all. And then I'm going to stand up as I send my knees backwards. Let's try it. Booty back, spine long, shins staying tall and vertical. And then as I go to stand up, I'm gonna send my knees back. Now, I can't really ask you guys, but what I want you to feel as you come down and up is the line at the bottom of your body, right? The gluteal fold area, the low fibers of the gluteus muscle, and the back line of your body helping you to stand up. I'm not letting my knees go forward at all, so I'm not relying on my knee joint to do the work. And so the knees should be able to stay relaxed because the butt is doing all the work. Let's try one more. I'm not rounding in my back, and I'm not letting my knees come forward. Really good. So now we've worked our outer hips and we've worked our back line of the body, and that's amazing. So now I want us to go back and practice what we've learned with our balancing. So last time we practiced elevating one leg and holding it with our eyes open, and then trying it again with our eyes closed. And that is how we will end today, which is plenty enough. All right, so before I go to elevate that leg, I'm not just going to do it willy-nilly. I'm going to do it in the way that's anatomically and biomechanically appropriate that we just learned. So let's start by elevating our right leg. I'm going to push down with my left hip, so down and across the midline of the body. I'm still nice and tall. My left hip is holding me up and my right leg is elevated. And now I'm just going to hold this position, looking way out in front of me, finding a focal point, feeling tall out of the crown of my head, feeling confident and relaxed. And I want to be able to hold this for a minute. This side of my body, the right side, the elevated side of my body is relaxed. If I need a little help from the counter next to me, it doesn't mean that the counter actually has to hold me up. I could just tap a finger or two down, and my nervous system might get enough information to feel comfortable standing in this position. And then I want you to come all the way down. Good. Let's try it on the other side. Push down and across the midline of the body on the right. Elevate the left. Find your focal point and get comfortable here. You're tall, aligned, your shoulders are relaxed, the crown of your head is growing tall. Your gaze is right in front of you, right? The back of your neck is lengthened, your arms are relaxed. You're just so happy to be standing on one leg for a minute. And come all the way down. All right, sorry, we gotta try it with our eyes closed. Way more likely to meet this counter now, right? So I'm gonna push down with my right foot. My eyes are still open. I'm gonna push down and across the midline to elevate that right foot. I'm gonna find my focal point while my eyes are still open. My arms are down if they can be. I'm gonna close my eyes, and so are you. Be confident. Ah! Be tall out of the crown of the head. Smile.
I'm sure the smile helps us balance, right?
Of course it does. If you want to, you can bring your arms out by the side, to the side, and then bring them down when you feel more confident. No one said it was going to be easy. And come all the way down. Shake it out. Wow. Good. All right, let's try the other side, and then you guys will be done for today. But we're going to be meeting again tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day of our session. We're building skills, and I really, really am hoping that I'll see you again tomorrow. All right, so right foot down, right hip, feeling like it's traveling across the midline of the body to elevate that left side. I'm tall, I'm confident, I'm aligned. I'm looking at my focal point far in front of me, and then I'm going to try to close my eyes. Of course you can do this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes and bring your feet down. You guys, thank you so much for spending this time with me and for spending this time with the Campus for Creative Aging. Balance is so important, and here in Michigan, as the weather turns colder and there are slippery leaves on the ground, or even, yes, snow eventually, we want to make sure that we're confident and we can spend some time outside and enjoy ourselves. So we're going to keep working on our balance. Thank you so much.
We do. Thank you so much, Sally. And on behalf of the Campus for Creative Aging, we hope we see you tomorrow. You got some clappy hands from your guests, so thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to turn myself off.